Enjoy Stingray music free on your mobile.
A crowded room and I'm still lonely, talking tough but it ain't true. And any girl tries to love me, I'm scared to death I'll break her heart in two. Still looking for something to believe in, to be the man my daddy told me to be. Fall on my knees searching for the reason, find the strength the good Lord gave me. I'm still fighting with the demons up inside my head, and I ain't lying, there's some dark ones underneath my bed. There's a long road in front of me, there's a light I finally see. I'm done hiding, still ain't the man I wanna be, but I'm still fighting. And I'm still fighting. Sometimes I still drink too much whiskey and close the blinds and hide my phone and pray like hell, Lord will save me, and tear these walls down stone by stone. I'm still fighting with the demons up inside my head, and I ain't lying, there's some dark ones underneath my bed. There's a long road in front of me, there's a light I finally see. I'm done hiding, still ain't the man I wanna be, but I'm still fighting. Yeah, I'm still fighting. Somehow I'm finding the courage, I'm living and learning it all. I know I'm still fighting with the demons up inside my head, and I ain't lying, there's some dark ones underneath my bed. Afraid but I don't care, can't be brave if you ain't scared. I'm still fighting, fighting with everything I am. Won't stop fighting, fighting down to my last breath. There's a long road in front of me, there's a light I finally see. I'm done hiding, still ain't the man I wanna be, but I'm still fighting. Yeah, I'm still fighting. And I'm still fighting. Oh, I'm still fighting.
All of my friends finally convinced me to get out of the house, to help me forget, to help me move on. Then I heard you back in town, in a crowd of strangers and lovers. Someone told me that you were coming, so I should probably go to bed.
Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone to the Grand Falls-Windsor Town Council meeting for July 15th, 2025. First off, I'll ask for a motion to approve the agenda, please. Moved by Councillor Cody, seconded by Councillor Knoll. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary mind? Motion carried. No proclamations tonight, so we'll move on to the adoption of the minutes from meeting of June 17th. Again, I'll look for a motion to accept. Councillor Dwyer, seconded by Councillor Little. Any discussion on the previous meeting's minutes? No? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. Any business arising out of the minutes? No business arising. We will move along to community services and economic development, and that is the lead is the deputy mayor. And you can go ahead with the first item there when you're ready, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 6.1, with respect to support for the Chamber of Commerce first-time member incentive. That the Town of Grand Falls-Windsor approve an annual contribution of up to $4,000 beginning in 2026 and continuing through the end of 2030 to the Exploits Chamber of Commerce to support first-year Chamber membership dues for businesses located within the town. The payment will be made at the end of each calendar year based on confirmation that eligible new members have renewed for a second year. Oversight of this program will rest with the Director of Community Services. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Okay, it's been moved by Deputy Mayor Brown. I look for a seconder. Councillor Little. Any discussion on the first item? Deputy Mayor,
Request
yeah.
came from the Chamber of Commerce, and certainly Council agrees with it. It's a $4,000 contribution, depending on the number of members that actually join under this program. And certainly would be helpful if the Chamber had some new members. There are strength in numbers, and it's good that the town is doing their part to ensure that the Chamber remains strong and has a voice in our community. So a good idea for little cost, and I think it will be helpful for the Chambers in the present and in the future.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. And I think that, strong chamber, strong business community, and we all have the same interests at heart anyhow, and that's the betterment of the area. And Deputy Mayor, I assume that that means that it will be Grand Falls-Windsor businesses, correct?
It is.
Right, because the chamber, of course, goes beyond Grand Falls-Windsor, but we would be supporting only our local businesses. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, we got a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. Next up. Well, I'm having to go back a lot here. Okay, getting there, yep. 6.2, NL Health Services meeting. When you're ready, sorry for the delay there. Deputy Mayor? Okay. All right. NL Hydros. Update, Goodrich Dam, right? What am I doing here, Steve? What? Where am I? I had to go right back to the beginning there. There you go. Okay. Okay. The Stewardship Association of Municipalities presentation request. Deputy Mayor Brown, please.
Mayor, the council had a request from the Stewardship Association of Municipalities, or SAM, that the council approve participation in a meeting with SAM representatives to review the assessment findings and explore the potential for formal recognition of the town's conservation work. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Been moved by Deputy Mayor Brown, seconded by Councillor Hiscock. Any discussion or comment on the SAM presentation? Deputy Mayor.
Well,
Certainly, Mayor, the Stewardship Association of Municipalities is committed to the conservation, enhancement, and stewardship of habitat across Newfoundland and Labrador within municipalities. And the first thing that comes to mind here in Grand Falls-Windsor is the Corduroy Brook and the efforts being made to maintain the habitat and support the habitat in our community and other areas as well. So we're fully in support of that, and so we should be. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's an agreement that was first adopted, well, Mayor Blackmore would remember for sure because he was on hand for the ceremony. He will recall, and I think Minister Kevin Elward at the time, so I'm going back a fair many years, but basically the areas in Grand Falls-Windsor that are protected from future development under that agreement include the Corduroy Brook wetland area and the 2 ponds with a buffer, as well as the Rushy Pond area and Little Rushy. The only difference is that there's a management unit and there's a stewardship area. So the management unit, which in Corduroy Brook's case takes in the transmission line back to Tulip Drive, and where we have our water control structure and Gentleman B in that area. And for Rushy Pond, it's Little Rushy would be the management unit, and then the greater area of both are the stewardship area. So the management unit has more strict guidelines than would the stewardship area, and obviously that is a good thing. I think there's 48 communities now that are signed on to the Stewardship Association, and it's a good program. Thank you. Any other comment? Hearing none, we're going to move her in a seconder. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. Community services, sorry, no, nothing under recreation and events. Public Works and Development, first Public Works Buildings and Facilities will be Councillor Dwyer, and the first item is Capital Works Project Status Update. Councillor Dwyer.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to provide Council with an update on our Capital Works projects. The town currently has 21 approved Capital Works projects totaling an estimated $25.37 million. These projects span infrastructure, building upgrades, paving design, water treatment plant improvements, etc., and a further $22 million in shovel-ready projects are fully designed and pending approval. So under the approved projects, things like, for example, our 2025 paving program would be under there. The roundabout design on Tulip and Queensway, which we're interested in having that design work completed, and YMCA roof design, for example. So lots of work under there, some projects that are under our Housing Accelerator Fund, and we look forward to getting those completed. In terms of the shovel-ready or unfunded projects, as I said, there's $22 million estimated value of those projects, things like our suspension bridge at Gorge Park and some of the work that we have planned for down there, just waiting for funding to become available. So all of these projects are very important, and it's important that we get the design work done on a lot of them so that we can, as soon as funding becomes available, have those projects submitted so that we can get approval for them.
Yeah, that's the key, is to have those things on the shelf with the engineering and that done, so that when government wants to get that funding out the door, we got something ready to go. Any other comment or discussion on that information note? No? Okay, we'll move on to a decision note as the design of the sludge drying bed. Councillor Dwyer, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Decision is required whether Council will support the recommendation to award the ERWTP sludge drying bed engineering work to Irvine Engineering Limited based on the detailed review of the consultant fee proposal response. And I move that the Town of Grand Falls-Windsor approves the recommendation to award the engineering design work for the ERWTP sludge drying bed for a cost of $76,702.35, HST rebate included, to Irvine Engineering Limited.
Moved by Councillor Dwyer, seconded by Councillor Little. Any discussion on that item? Councillor Dwyer, please.
Thank you, Mayor. So this design project includes the preparation of tender-ready documents for the sludge drawing bed at the ERWTP. The scope includes geotechnical investigation, sludge disposal strategy, pump specification development, and design documentation. So Irvine Engineering Limited submitted the only compliant proposal, and it totaled $84,582.50, with a net cost to the town of Grand Falls-Windsor of $76,702.35 after rebate. And the proposal includes optional cost-saving measures for site work and present a detailed project schedule with deliverables from July to September. I'd also like to note that Grand Falls-Windsor continues to grow, and as such, the requirements to provide enhanced infrastructure within the town are necessary. So it's prudent for us to incorporate water treatment infrastructure enhancement plans to eliminate maintenance issues in the future.
Absolutely.
And also, that cost is only about 4.9% of the total project cost, which is $1.57 billion.
Yeah, costly projects for sure. Previous councils and staff had the foresight to get that wastewater treatment plant in place back in 1995 and put us ahead of a lot more. Go ahead, Councillor Dwyer.
So one more thing. This project, the design work, is being funded with the CCBF fund, and so the portion, the cost to us is zero.
Important to point that out. So, that obviously it stopped the activity or the ability, I guess, for the materials from our wastewater to get out into the beautiful X-Lakes River, and that's what's important, and there's a lot to that process, and we've got a good operation, and we got to keep investing into it. Any other comment? Yeah, Councillor Little.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick note that this is one of many projects that we've received funding for our water treatment plant. And myself and Councillor Knoll have been on that committee for the last 3.5 years. And Chad Clendenning puts a ton of work into that. And he's been handling government, well, for at least 3 years, probably for much longer, for this funding for one project. And he got us funding for, I think it's 7. So I think it's noteworthy that he gets recognized for the hard work he's put in that role.
Absolutely, yeah. The engineering staff are great, and of course I misspoke about the wastewater treatment. It is water treatment, and but it's all the same in terms of taking care of our water, and we always are looking for those 2 core infrastructure items to be upgraded as much as possible. When the water treatment plant is looked at, I guess, by staff and by others, engineers, etc., there's an estimated $6 million of work that needs to be done on that water treatment plant. Obviously can't do it all at one time, so we try to do it as much as we can, as soon as we can. And there's an additional $6 million required for the asphalt paving on New Bay Road, which everybody knows is desperately needed. And we've been lobbying government for years to make sure that that gets on their list, and to date we were unable to get it, but it is important, obviously. Any other discussion or comment on that? Okay, we got a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Resolution passed. Circular Road, water, storm, and sewer upgrades tender award. When you're ready, Councillor Dwyer.
Thank you, Mayor. Council needs to decide whether we will support the recommendation to award the sanitary sewer upgrades to Adam Construction Limited based on a tender closing that closed on July 9th, 2025. And so I move that Council approves the recommendation to award the sanitary sewer upgrades as part of the circular road upgrades of $240,563.90, HST included, to Adams Construction Limited. Town of Grand Falls-Windsor agrees to award the project using the ICIP fund allocated through the Green Infrastructure Stream under Project 17-GI-22-00034.
Okay, thank you. It's been moved by Councillor Dwyer. I'm looking for a seconder. Councillor Hiscock. Any discussion on that item? Councillor Dwyer.
Thank you, Mayor. This project, this project is 65% over the pre-tender estimate, and we are recommending that it be awarded. We had a lot of discussion about it, and we listened to our engineers and our finance, but these are the reasons that we're going ahead with it. First of all, with respect to the complexity of the project, the work is located entirely within residential yards, significantly increasing the complexity and cost compared to typical roadway projects that we are used to doing. And so the combined working conditions have increased the anticipated pricing. In terms of this project, it's well within the overall budget for the project. In fact, there's $530,000 remaining in the project, which was budgeted back in 2023. So awarding this tender ensures the available funds are utilized effectively, and if we don't use them before September 21st, 2025, we lose that money. So, in addition, completing that section positions our town to look forward with the remaining work that needs to be done down there, and it'll strengthen our position in terms of getting additional funding. And finally, we don't want to avoid or have further delays and see costs escalate even further.
No, absolutely, and it is another example of staff's good work by allowing that money to be available in terms of what's left from the work so far. So that's great. Any other discussion or comment on that item? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Resolution passed. Next up, we will move on to Public Works and Development, Planning and Development, and that would be Councillor Hiscock. And first up, Circular Road Sanitary Sewer Upgrades, Tender Results and Revived Implementation Plan. When you're ready, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Get everything in line here. And I'm here to inform Council of the outcome of the recent tender for sanitary sewer upgrades on Circular Road and to outline the town's revised approach to address the infrastructure deficiencies. The town issued a public tender project number 17-GI-22-00034 for sanitary sewer upgrades on Circular Road, which closed on June 18th, 2025, with no bids received. With no contractor submitting bids for the reline work, the town has no viable option but to proceed with a full reroute of the downstream sewer. The existing alignment is too deep and too constrained for open excavation and cannot be left as is. The proposed reroute will require design and construction of a new alignment that avoids problematic excavation zones, establishment of a new sewer easement on private property, which will require landowner negotiation of formal access agreements, potential relocation of an existing shed to accommodate the new sewer route, and basically supports critical infrastructure renewal and addresses high-risk service areas. Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you for that. So it's been moved by Council, info note. My bad, as they say. Any other discussion on that item? Yeah, Councillor Little.
Thank you. I'm a little confused, and Nelson's not here, and neither is Darren, so I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get an answer to this, but this information note is 17-GI-22-0034. It's saying there was no tenders, no bids, right? The one we just adopted is the exact same number.
Yeah, that's a good question. Let me try to put the pressure on Mr. Goss, see what he can come up with, being the finance person. Is it just a typo there, or? If you want, we can move on, and you can continue maybe to have a look there, and,
Mr. Mayor, that was a part of that project, because it was
Okay.
an upstream and a downstream section
Okay.
of the project, I believe, if I'm not mistaken on that, Mr. Mayor.
so two separate tenders for the same project? is-
Similar, it was similar, yeah, I think one was an upstream and downstream.
But the numbers are the same, as
Yeah.
Councilor Little
Part of
pointed
that
out. So we'll certainly check into it. It is an information note. There's no decision required right now, so we can get the correct information out as soon as we can. Any other discussion on that? Okay, move on to the next item, which is Crown Land Referral Application. Councilor Hiscock, when you're ready, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Council direction is required on whether the town supports the Crown Land Grant application for the property located at 8 Pondview Drive. And I propose that council approves the Crown Land application file number 164214 for a land grant at 8 Pondview Drive, and advises Crown Lands that the town has no objection to the application subject to compliance with all applicable municipal permits and regulations.
Okay, thank you. It's been moved by Councilor Hiscock, seconded by Councilor Cody. Any discussion?
Yes, Mayor. The application was received by the, for Crown Land at 8 Pondview Drive, and to grant the land parcel approximately 1.39 hectares in size, but has been used for several decades for an auto body and salvage yard. And the owners own the property adjacent to it at 6 Pondview Drive. So they've basically been there for a number of years using this property. So the property is located within the industrial light zone zoning designation under the town's development regulations. The auto body shop is a permitted use in the zone. The salvage yard, while not permitted use, is considered an existing non-conforming use under section 5.5 of the Town of Grand Falls-Windsor's Development Regulations 2022-2032. This provision allows for the continuation of a long-standing use that predates current regulations as long as the use is not expanded or intensified.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other comments or discussion on that item? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Resolution passed. Next up, we have another information note, and back to Circular Road again, the tender results and next steps, and that one I assume is separate from what you're talking about there, Councillor Little. So we'll go ahead when you're ready, Councillor Hiscock.
Yeah, the town issued a tender for Circular Road Phase 2 water line, storm, and road upgrades under Multi-Year Capital Works Project 17-MYCW-25-00062. No bids were received. Upon discussion with officials from Transportation Infrastructure and informal feedback from local contractors, it was learned that most Central Region contractors are currently carrying out work from late 2024 and early 2025 tenders. As a result, they are unable to commit to additional work for the 2025 construction season. Retendering immediately may result in elevated pricing and minimal competition. Additionally, any contract awarded this late in the season would likely result in project delays and incomplete work prior to the winter shutdown.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments on that information note? Hearing none, we'll move on to a decision note, parking permit request for 8 Lyle Street. Councillor Hiscock.
Thank you, Mayor. Council decision is required on whether to approve or deny the request for a parking permit to allow a transport truck to park on the residential property at 8 Lyle Street. And I propose that council deny the request for a parking permit to allow a transport truck to be parked on the residential property at 8 Lyle Street.
Okay, it's been moved by Councillor Hiscock, seconded by Councillor Knoll. Any discussion on that issue?
Thank you, Mayor. The applicant is seeking a permit to park a heavy transport vehicle on the residential lot at 8 Lyle Street. Under section 11.1.2 of the town's development regulations, vehicles exceeding 4,500 kilos gross vehicle weight must be parked within an enclosed structure unless specifically permitted by council. The lot is located on a narrow, dead-end street with limited maneuvering space, increasing the likelihood of obstruction or safety concerns during snow clearing. Public Works has expressed concern that the presence of a transport truck would hinder plow operations during winter months. Noise issues arising from early morning startups have been flagged as a potential nuisance, especially in such a tightly spaced residential area. The Chief Municipal Enforcement Officer does not support the permit and instead recommends regulatory amendments to prevent similar future requests. While the applicant has not yet received complaints, lack of public feedback is not considered sufficient justification to permit the use, especially given comparable past requests for large vehicle storage in residential zones have been denied by council. And staff recommended that council deny the parking permit request due to operational concerns and consistency with past decisions. Staff further recommend that regulatory amendments be considered to clarify restrictions on large vehicle parking in residential zones.
No, thanks for that. If we got other requests in the past, as it noted there, and we turned them down, and I feel rightly so, unless there's a really good reason to say yes. All we would be doing in that situation is opening up a floodgate of activity, and we'd have 100 or 200 big rigs parked in driveways, which would not be a good thing for safety and other reasons, as was noted. Any other discussion on that? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Resolution passed. Okay. Next one is the discretionary use application for 234 Grenfell Heights.
Thank you, Mayor. Council decision is required on whether to approve a discretionary use application for Plex housing at 234 Grenfell Heights. And I propose that council approves the discretionary use application to allow 2 additional basement units at 234 Grenfell Heights, enabling the building to be converted to a 4-unit Plex.
Okay, it's been moved by Councillor Hiscock, seconded by Councillor Knoll. Any discussion? Councillor Hiscock.
Thank you, Mayor. This request was advertised in accordance with the town's development regulations. Notices were sent to adjacent property owners on June the 4th, 2025, and the application was posted on the town's social media channels on June the 9th, 2025. The public had until June the 13th, 2025 to submit feedback. 2 written objections were received, primarily raising concerns over previous commitments related to off-street parking arrangements that were not fulfilled. Despite these concerns, the proposal is aligned with Council's broader strategic goal of supporting housing development. The creation of 2 new units in this existing building represents efficient land use and contributes to the town's housing stock without requiring new subdivision development. Parking requirements must conform to the town's development regulations, and staff will verify full compliance prior to the issuance of permits.
Okay, thank you for that. We're looking for a seconder on that. Councillor Dwyer, any discussion? Or did we already do that on this one?
Already did it, Mr. Mayor. I jumped
Too many of these. Okay, we've got a mover and a seconder. Any other discussion? I guess I'll add, just since the reference was made to it, just because we're approving this doesn't mean that it's right for anybody to not fulfill the promises that they've made. So I'd suggest we continue to follow up on that and make sure that those past commitments have been made. Any other comments? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Resolution passed. Okay, next up, it's rezoning of Crown Land at Riverview Road South Side. Councillor Hiscock.
Thank you, Mayor. Approval to commence with rezoning process to change the zoning from conservation CON to residential single unit RS-2 for the Crown Land on the south side of Riverview Road to enable residential development. And I propose that council approve the initiation of the rezoning process to change the zoning from conservation to residential single unit RS-2 for the Crown Land on the south side of Riverview Road to permit future residential development.
Been moved by Councillor Hiscock, seconded by Deputy Mayor Brown. Any discussion or comment, Councillor Hiscock?
Thank you, Mayor. The town is undertaking infrastructure improvements on Riverview Road under project HAF-2025-01, including installation of a new water main and upgrades to the storm sewer system. The sanitary sewer infrastructure is already in place. These works will provide full municipal servicing in this area of Riverview Road where such services did not previously exist. Rezoning the Crown land from conservation to residential single unit RS-2 will allow the town to create new service residential lots, supporting the Housing Accelerator Fund objectives and meeting the community's growing need for housing. This approach maximizes the benefit of infrastructure investments by enabling development on land that was previously on service and limited in use.
Yeah, it's the lot, if anybody's wondering, down where I guess the Central Health, when it was Central Health and their offices were at the old Carmelite House, that was overflow parking for many years. And obviously there's been some changes at the Health Authority, and also there is a Habitat for Humanity project that was announced, I guess, about a week and a half ago now, where we will be supporting the build of such housing under the Habitat for Humanity program that will allow two presumably young families who may not normally qualify for mortgages or have the capital for down payments to actually qualify and have support with a mortgage. And you can find out more information on the Habitat for Humanity website, but I do know that there's a requirement for the participants to put in, I think it's 100 hours of sweat equity into the project, so they'll essentially be helping with things that they can on the build. And also, Habitat for Humanity are looking for applicants of people who may be interested. So we really want to make sure that if that gets out there so that people in our community can apply for it. It's a great program. It's not free housing. Again, they would enter into a mortgage with support from Habitat for Humanity, and they would, you know, have a manageable payment going forward. But this is for working families, again, who may not be eligible for the regular things when you're going to construct a house. And it'll be a beautiful new duplex. The interior design specifically is a Norwegian style, which we don't see around here, and it's beautiful. So whoever does live there, I think they got a fine location and a great location to watch fireworks. That was a popular spot, and I can only envision a couple of young families and maybe a lot of kids there who would be on the veranda enjoying the fireworks in years to come. Any other comments on that? Okay. Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary mind? Resolution passed. Request to rezone 109A Lincoln Road referral for Section 15 provincial review. Councillor Hiscock, you're up again, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Decision from council to approve proceeding to refer to proposed municipal plan amendment number 19, 2025, and development regulations amendment number 24, 2025, to the Department of Environment, Climate Change, and Municipalities for Section 15 provincial review, which will include the results of the completed public consultation process. And I propose that council approve submission of municipal plan amendment number 19, 2025, and development regulations amendment number 24, 2025, affecting 109A Lincoln Road to the Department of Environment, Climate Change, and Municipalities for a Section 15 review, and that staff be directed to finalize and forward all required documentation, including a summary of public consultation outcomes, to the local governance and land use planning division.
Moved by Councillor Hiscock, seconded by Councillor Dwyer. Any comments on that, Councillor Hiscock? I'm betting you do.
Thank you, Mayor. The town has received a request to rezone the property at 109A Lincoln Road for high-density residential development. The purpose of the amendment is to redesignate portions of the site from commercial and recreation open space to urban residential on the future land use map of the municipal plan. The proposed development includes up to 5 apartment buildings, 3 stories in height, and approximately 50 to 60 residential units. The proposal supports the town's strategic objectives to increase affordable housing options identified in the Hart Community Housing Support or Report, September 2024. Public notices were prepared and distributed to adjacent property owners, published on the town's website and social media, and advertised in accordance with the Urban and Rural Planning Act 2000. The consultation period closed on July the 8th, 2025, and there were no submissions received. And this aligns, Mayor, with Council's objectives to expand housing availability and utilize underdeveloped parcels of land for residential purposes.
Yes, that is the old 63 property, as a lot of people would know it as, and obviously fulfilling a big need in terms of increasing capacity for living spaces here in Grand Falls-Windsor. And throughout these land zoning changes and identifying land within the town, you know, you'll see a lot of, I guess, these kinds of areas that are previously used for other things, but you may see duplexes in one place, apartments in another, single-family homes, you know, tiny houses are also something that people can do these days under the regulations. So this one particularly would be a high density with 3 stories, and of course located across from the hospital, down just up the street, I guess, from the college, and a great location, I would suggest, for that activity. Any other discussion on that? Okay, going to move her in a seconder. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Resolution passed. Okay, next up is approval in principle for the identification of lands for potential residential development adjacent to Riverview Motors. Councillor Hiscock, when you're ready, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Approval in principle to designate lands off Lincoln Road adjacent to Riverview Chevols and the Exploits River as a potential site for future residential development, and to proceed with preliminary investigations, planning, and stakeholder engagement. And I propose that Council approve in principle the identification of lands off Lincoln Road adjacent to Riverview Chevols and the Exploits River as a potential location for residential development.
Okay, it's been moved by Councillor Hiscock, seconded by Councillor Little. Any comments or discussion? Councillor Hiscock.
Thank you, Mayor. The department has identified property situated off Lincoln Road adjacent to Riverview Chevols and along the Exploits River as a strategic location to support future residential growth. This area has proximity to existing municipal services and offers opportunities to diversify housing supply in the community. Approval in principle will allow staff to carry out initial feasibility assessments and environmental assessment, develop a preliminary concept, gather input from the public and stakeholders, and apply for Crown land when eligible. No final decisions regarding development or land use changes will occur without further council consideration and public engagement.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments on that? Well, I guess I'd just add that the area is another example of infilling in the community where not only is it a good location, it would be a beautiful location for residential development so close to the river. And an added bonus I would suggest is if that was housing in that area, it would further alleviate the motorized traffic in that area that continues to use, you know, that and should be using really the old mill stretch now for that access. Anything else? Okay, we're going to move her in a seconder. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Resolution passed. Next up is request for designated parking space at 12 High Street. Councillor Hiscock.
Thank you, Mayor. Council directions requested regarding a proposal to designate public parking spaces near 12 High Street exclusively for patrons and staff of Everybody Fitness Center. And I propose that council deny the request from the owner of Everybody Fitness Center at 12 High Street to designate public parking spaces for exclusive use by the business and its customers.
It's been moved by Councillor Hiscock, seconded by Councillor Knoll. Any comment or discussion on that item?
Thank you, Mayor. The town received a request from the owners requesting on-street parking directly in front of the facility along High Street. Several spaces in the municipal parking area on the east side of High Street near the area commonly used for community events and seasonal installations. These parking areas are public access intended to serve the entire downtown business district. Residents and visitors allocating exclusive spaces to any single business could displace other users, create perceptions of unequal treatment, and set a precedent for similar requests by other commercial operators. There is no existing precedent for reserving public parking spaces solely for individual private businesses in this vicinity. Implementing designated spaces would require installation of signage, enforcement resources, and ongoing monitoring, which would create operational demands and potential budget impacts. But also, Mr. Mayor, as people know, on the back of that building, where the old parking lot, we say for the old Co-op store, the old Royal Stores area, there's lots of parking, and it's a close proximity to the building itself. So that's probably one of the most reasons why we turned it down. And of course, the parking on the front of High Street, there's just not a lot of parking to designate for that reason. Thank you, Mayor.
No, thank you. Any other comments on that? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Resolution passed. Next is the Development Regulations Amendment for the updated definition of residential care. Councillor Hiscock, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Council's approval to proceed with Development Regulations Amendment number 25, 2025, updating the definition of residential care to allow broader housing options and services to address special and temporary needs in the community. And I propose that under the authority of Section 16 of the Urban and Rural Planning Act 2000, the Town Council of Grand Falls-Windsor adopts the Amendment number 25, 2025 to the Grand Falls-Windsor Development Regulations 2022-2032.
Okay, thank you. It's been moved by Councillor Hiscock and seconded by Councillor Little. Councillor Hiscock, comments?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, the town has identified an increasing need for flexible housing and services to support residents facing special circumstances such as traditional and supporting housing. The current definition of residential care is limited in scope and does not sufficiently accommodate these emerging requirements. Development Regulations Amendment number 25, 2025 proposes to modernize the definition to include transitional or supportive housing of a temporary nature, provision of professional assistance and supervision as appropriate, compliance with all applicable federal and provincial regulations governing such facilities. The amendment was publicly advertised and posted at the Joe Byrne Stadium Town Hall, the town's website, and social media channels. Public comments, objections, and representations were invited by noon Tuesday, July the 8th, 2025, and there were no submissions received. This update will provide developers and nonprofit organizations with greater clarity and opportunity to establish facilities that align with Council's goal of meeting diverse housing needs in the community.
Okay, it's been, well, we already got the mover and the seconder, hey. Any other comments? It's hard to keep track of these going back and forth every time, right? Any other comments on that? No? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Resolution passed. Before we move on to corporate services, we do have one more item under that heading that we're going to deal with, and Councillor Hiscock will excuse himself for that as he's declared a perceived conflict of interest. So, it's actually 9.5, and perhaps, Councillor Dwyer, I guess we already decided who was going to do that one. You go ahead and take care of that in his stead, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Council has a decision to make as to whether we're going to support the request from the Interfaith Cemetery Committee to conduct an engineering study on converting the paved roads in the Union Street Cemetery to gravel. So I move that Council decline the request for a formal engineering study on the feasibility of converting the paved roads in the Union Street Cemetery to gravel and approve the use of reclaimed asphalt millings as an interim measure to improve road conditions.
Okay, it's been moved by Councillor Dwyer, second by Deputy Mayor. Excuse me. Any discussion? Councillor Dwyer.
Thank you, Mayor. We did have a request, a formal request from the Interfaith Cemetery Committee, and they wanted us to undertake an engineering study to look at how feasible it was to convert the paved roads to gravel, and they have limited financial capacity to maintain the existing surface that's there. Public Works and Development staff, our town Public Works and Development staff, have completed an internal assessment of the area. The road network within the cemetery is situated on poor subgrade with natural springs and generally saturated conditions, and a conversion to gravel without significant subgrade reconstruction would likely worsen the surface condition and pose major challenges during wet weather. So pulverizing or removing the existing asphalt would further destabilize the road, resulting in more maintenance and reduced accessibility. Another good reason for having our own engineers and that staff to do have been able to do this work for us. So given these findings, there's no justification for spending public funds on an external engineering study. Town staff have determined the best course of action is to place reclaimed asphalt millings from capital paving operations over the existing surface, and this will stabilize the roadway, improve drivability, reduce dust, and be cost effective. And the millings will be compacted to achieve a firm surface, creating a serviceable roadbed until such time as the committee is able to secure funding for a permanent rehabilitation project.
Yeah, this has come up before in terms of ownership, but, you know, the Interfaith Cemetery, the community cemetery, if you want to look at it from the largest perspective, is something that the town doesn't own. And such, we normally don't do capital work on something that we wouldn't own. But with that said, obviously, it's a very important facility in our community, and we have always been supportive of the Interfaith Cemetery Committee with the grading, repairs, patching, providing materials, you know, the list goes on. And the subgrade, as was mentioned, basically what would happen, we feel, is that if it was converted to gravel road, the subgrade would not allow it to remain in the state that we need, and it will be a bigger state, so to speak, especially when it's wet. The option of milled asphalt has been something that's worked well in other areas and obviously provides that hard surface that makes it easier to travel on for vehicles, and that's some more explanation behind that decision. Anybody else got anything on that? No? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Resolution passed. Mind grabbing Councillor Hiscock and asking him to return, please. Okay, before we move on to corporate services, the CFO, Mr. Goss, who's filling in for Mr. Finn on holidays tonight, can give us an update on that earlier project.
On your question, Councillor Little, so that project number is based on the funding that we received. So we didn't get any bids for that original tender, but we're using that same funding for this new project. So it's a new project, new scope, but because of how we do our claims in the government system, it's the same project number, which is a little bit confusing, but so it's a new project, new scope, but the exact same funding, so that's why it's the same project number. Okay.
Thank you for that. I knew you would do that very quickly, so thank you for that and clarifying. Okay, move on to corporate services, finance, administration, and policy. Oh, exciting time, an election is coming up. Go ahead about nomination day, Councillor Cody, when you're ready.
Thank you, Mayor. So a decision of council is required to approve the proposed date, time, and location for nomination day in accordance with municipal election procedures. The resolution to council is that we approve nomination day as Monday, September 8th from 2025, or at 2025, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the Town Hall. So I recommend that council approve that the resolution to set Monday, September 8th, 2025 from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the Town Hall as nomination day for the upcoming municipal election to be held on October the 2nd.
Okay. And that is a decision note, so I will ask for a seconder to Councillor Cody's motion. Councillor Little, seconded. And Councillor Cody, would you like to explain further?
Sure. Just some clarification or background. As part of the municipal election process, the town is required to set and publicly declare a nomination day. Nomination day allows eligible candidates to file nomination papers to run for council. Setting this date ensures that the election process adheres to legislative timelines. The proposed date of September 8th falls within the permitted time frame before Election Day and aligns with election preparation timelines and logistical requirements.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other discussion or comment on nomination day? Well, I mean, just to encourage people to come out. You know, I've been involved in council for 12 years. It's a very rewarding experience, sometimes challenging, no doubt, but if you care about your community and you are interested in politics and want to get out, go ahead and offer yourself, you know, and if anybody wanted more information on kind of an inside look, I guess, of how things work and what may be expected of you and time commitments, I would be more than happy to talk to anybody about that and give them that information. So we'd like to see all kinds out. We know across the province it's becoming more and more difficult to find people to fill council seats, and certainly Councillor Cody knows that from her being the chair of M&L, and it's a discussion. The councillors tend to be older, and obviously after a while it's difficult to sustain that if you're not getting younger people in, so particularly young people. I'd love to see some young people out on the ballot this year and vying for a position on this, I don't know what to call it. I was going to say esteemed, but it's not esteemed. It's
Pretty esteemed.
It'll take me all night for all the adjectives, so I'll just leave it at that. But we want to encourage everybody. Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Resolution passed. Next up is a decision note on the returning officer and alternate appointment. Councillor Cody, please.
Thank you, Ben. So council direction is required to formally appoint the Director of Corporate Services, clerk, as returning officer, and the Deputy Town Clerk as alternate returning officer for the upcoming municipal election. So the resolution is to approve the appointment of the Director of Corporate Services clerk as returning officer and the Deputy Town Clerk as alternate returning officer for the 2025 municipal election. So I recommend that council does approve the appointment as stated for the Director of Corporate Services and clerk as returning officer and Deputy Town Clerk as the alternate returning officer for the 2025 municipal election.
Okay, moved by Councillor Cody, seconded by Councillor Dwyer. Any, yes, further explanation? Councillor Cody, please.
Yeah, so just again, it's a requirement for us to declare. So it's necessary to appoint a returning officer and an alternate returning officer to oversee the electoral process. The returning officer is responsible for managing the election in a fair, transparent, and efficient manner. Appointing staff members familiar with municipal procedures ensures continuity and compliance with legislative requirements. The Director of Corporate Services, the clerk, and the Deputy Town Clerk have both the experience and qualifications to fulfill these roles, and the appointment is in line with past practice and aligns with the responsibilities outlined in the relevant election legislation.
Okay, it's been moved by, oh, sorry, again, I did it. Any other comments on that? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Resolution passed. Staying on the election theme, next up is the advance poll.
Okay, so the direction and decision required is to formally designate Saturday, September 20th, 2025 as the date for the municipal election advance poll, and to confirm Windsor Pentecostal Church as the polling location from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The decision will enable staff to proceed with logistical planning, communications, and compliance with legislative requirements. So the recommendation again is that council approve the designation of Saturday, September 20th as the advance poll date for the Town of Grand Falls-Windsor municipal election, and will be held at Windsor Pentecostal Church from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Okay, it's been moved by Councillor Cody, seconded by Councillor Hiscock. Any discussion or comment on the advance poll day selection? Hearing none, go ahead, Councillor Cody.
So again, in accordance with legislation, municipalities must offer an advance poll for voters who are unable to vote on the regular polling day. For the 2025 municipal election, the proposed date for the advance poll is Saturday, September 20th, and the Windsor Pentecostal Church has been identified as a suitable and accessible location for this poll, and the poll will be open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. I just wanted to stress accessible in that sentence as well. We've used the Fire Hall, Grand Falls-Windsor Fire Hall, previously for an advance poll. It's an accessible building, but not as accessible as the Windsor Pentecostal Church would be. There's lots of space there, lots of parking available for residents. So it just, you know, it's the most, I guess it's the most logical location to be able to host that advance poll efficiently and effectively.
Exactly. Okay, any other comments? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Resolution passed. Next up is, did we do municipal election day yet?
Not yet.
Advance poll, okay.
You and I did it several times.
Yes, municipal election day. Councillor Cody, please, when you're ready.
All right, thank you, Mayor. So council decision is required to approve the official date, time, and locations for the 2025 municipal election day. So the proposed resolution and recommendation is that council approve the Thursday, October 2nd, 2025 date as the official election day for the Town of Grand Falls-Windsor municipal election, with voting hours from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at selected polling booths.
Okay, it's been moved by Councillor Cody, seconded by Councillor Little. Any discussion on election day, Councillor Cody?
Sure. So again, in accordance with legislation, municipalities are required to formally set the date and hours for election day. In preparation for the 2025 municipal election, it's necessary for council to pass a resolution confirming the official election date with operating hours of polling stations. The proposed date, Thursday, October 2nd, aligns with provincial guidelines and provides sufficient time for election planning, public notification, and accessibility considerations. Selected polling booths will be confirmed and advertised in advance to ensure all eligible voters have access to be able to get to those polling stations if they do not vote during the advance poll.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone like to add to that information? No? Okay, we got a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Resolution passed. Okay, next up is the disbursement report, and I will remember tonight one thing. It is an information note. So I'll try not to make a motion to adopt. Councillor Cody, please.
Thank you, Mayor. So the information note is prepared by staff and reviewed by council, which provides a summary of disbursements over $1,000 as of July 15, 2025, in the amount of $1,874,433.61.
Okay, thanks for that. Any discussion on that information note? No? Okay, we shall move on. Next up is the decision note for the design of the roofing upgrades at the YMCA. Councillor Cody, please.
Thank you again. So the proposed resolution for council is that council award the tender for the design for roofing upgrades at the YMCA, project 99-2022-7655, to Seacon Limited in the amount of $17,520 plus HST.
Okay, it's been moved by Councillor Cody, seconded by Councillor Dwyer. Any further comment on that, Councillor Cody?
Sure, thank you. So the YMCA roof, original roof to the 1994 structure, has multiple active leaks and is beyond its service life. The roof covers essential areas of the facility, including the pool, fitness rooms, and change rooms. The town issued an open call to obtain engineering services for the complete roof design, including assessment, Class A estimate preparation, tender-ready documents, and support during construction. 4 submissions were received. Seacon Limited submitted the lowest compliant bid of $17,520 plus HST, well below the budget of $36,273.39, resulting in a favorable variance of $18,002.48. A quick turnaround is expected to facilitate 2026 construction, pending further funding approval based on the design estimate. So again, I want to stress, this is an estimate to determine what it's going to cost to repair that roof. And you talk about leaks, I mean, you wouldn't think a leak over a pool, a body of water, would, be a bad thing necessarily, but when you're trying to maintain the chemical balance and safety regulations and whatnot of that pool, that can be a very time-consuming and very costly venture, because that chemical balance goes off. We have to add more chemicals, and it's the constant monitoring. Equipment gets damaged if there's leaks happening, especially after hours. Leaks on machines. The machines need to be repaired or replaced. Trying to move, equipment and that around in the facility is time-consuming, and it just throws off the balance of the area, and people are used to a certain layout for workouts and whatnot. And it's just, it's an important piece of infrastructure that we need to maintain. Of course, again, the goal, we've been talking about it for a while, is a recreation complex. And this just further enhances the need for a recreational complex. The cost, again, just to do an estimate, over $17,000. To determine what it will actually cost to repair this roof, which we expect is going to be a fairly large number, considering what we've already run into with the Joe Byrne Stadium roof and Excite Building roof, and other roofs that we've had to repair amongst our collection of community buildings. So again, important that we do proceed with this. Happy something finally comes in under budget. We probably shouldn't tell anybody came in under budget. I think the cat's out of the bag, but anyway, an important piece of work, and something that certainly needs to happen quickly.
And I guess despite the pool and its impact, the pool itself has its own issues, and regardless of what happens in the future, we certainly hope that it will be the new recreational community complex. But we fully expect that building to be repurposed in some form. Not to speculate too much, but I guess it's safe to assume that perhaps the daycare would want to expand, given that there is so much demand here in town, and probably more demand in the future for more daycare spaces. But whatever it is, this investment obviously is into a building that will continue to be needed well into the future. And we actually had a good meeting with I won't get into it, but we had a great meeting with government last week to discuss the recreation complex and a few other issues. We had Minister Lovelace here, Minister Pike here, and Minister Dempster here. And there was a very positive meeting, positive feedback, so we're looking forward to continuing to push that forward for the betterment of the community. Any other comment on the upgrades to the roof at the YMCA? No? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Resolution passed. Tax relief, 9 Mill Road. Councillor Cody, please.
Thank you. So, CBDC have requested to have outstanding tax balances written off for 9 Mill Road, a property which they took possession of in early 2023. So the recommendation for council is to write off the interest outstanding on that file.
Okay, it's moved by Councillor Cody, seconded by Deputy Mayor Brown. And further explanation on that, Councillor Cody?
Well, the explanation is that the business owners walked away from the business in late 2022, and there was a loan on the property. At that time, CBDC took possession of any expenses that have accumulated, and they have been added to the loan. The property is being purchased through a tender for approximately $60,000 less than the loan balance outstanding. CBDC are looking for the town to write off all outstanding tax balances. The new owner owns another business in town and would continue to pay property tax, water tax, and sewer tax on the property moving forward, in addition to business taxes if a business reopens there. The balance is currently owing property and water and sewer tax, $36,872.53, $9,109 of which is interest, and business tax, $11,545.67, $2,754.26 of which is interest. So the total recommended write-off is $11,863.26.
Okay, thanks for that explanation.
And if I can continue,
Absolutely.
we had a very lengthy discussion in a committee meeting on this, and I'm totally against writing off this outstanding amount, especially because it is for a lending agency. I don't think it's good practice for us to get into. I understand that, you know, CBDC did apply a loan, had their own restrictions in place, and that the business has defaulted on that loan. But I don't think it's our responsibility to write off those taxes. I mean, you know, we have conversations all the time about taxes and outstanding taxes and working with residents and individuals and coming up with payment plans to be able to help alleviate some of the strains and struggles. I don't know, and I don't paint CBDC with this brush, but you know, when we hear about the lending agencies, and again, CBDC is different than the regular lending agencies, but the amount of profit that these lending agencies are taking in, the restrictions that they put on the individuals, you know, and hardships that individuals can sometimes face in repaying these loans, they're not normally as forgiving. So personally, I cannot support this. It's $11,000. It sounds like a lot of money. I don't think it's a lot of money to a lending agency, and for that reason, I won't be supporting this.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments on that? Councillor Little.
Thank you, Mayor. Just some clarification. I'm not quite sure. It seems like they have someone to buy this building, and the new owner will be on the hook for the taxes. Is that what this is reading as? The new owner owns other business in town, will continue to take property, water, and sewer tax on the building moving forward, in addition to business tax, and the business reopens there. So that's not the back taxes. We're talking about forward taxes. Okay. So I'm not sure how that is actually pertinent to this conversation. Like that's going to happen regardless of what we do here, right? This new business part, is that correct?
If it's all in the business goes,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so I'm not really sure how that's,
And isn't there
Pertinent to the
reference made
conversation.
owning another business in town?
Yeah, there is.
So how does that play into the discussion,
thank you.
if you're not referring to someone in particular? I missed that particular meeting, so I'm just asking. I read it myself and got all the information that way, but
I think the comment was that the business owners who walked away from this business are now operating another business in the community. So, of similar interest.
okay. Any other comment or discussion on that? Councillor Hiscock.
Thank you, Mayor. If I may speak to you, through you to Mr. Goss, with regards to this is just writing off the interest, right? It's not the water and sewer and property tax as such, it's the interest accumulated on that amount of money. Am I correct in that, right? Okay, thank you.
CBDC was to write all of it off, but the recommendation is to just write off the interest.
Okay. Any other comments or discussion on that? Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I would agree with Councillor Cody on this. I don't see any good reason why CBDC or the previous business owners, especially if they're still operating a business in Grand Falls-Windsor, would not be responsible for the default on the property and water and sewer tax. So I will be voting no on this proposal as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Brown. Councillor Dwyer.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll also be voting no. I know CBDC's request was for us to write off all of it, and that this is a compromise, but I don't agree.
Well, I was not aware that you were going to vote no, but I was also going to vote no. So I'm not sure what happened at the meeting, because I agree with Councillor Cody in terms of the risk it's taken on by a lending agency, and you know, that's their issue, and ultimately, I think they should have to pay the full amount as the institution that took on that risk. So, if anybody else wants to have a say, they're certainly welcome.
Only that it would set a dangerous precedent, I think. We would have further lending agencies coming at me and at us, and banks coming at us looking for the same favor. So that's something we don't want to start. Right.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody else? If not, I'll ask for a vote. All those in favor? Contrary-minded? Aye. Aye. Motion denied. Okay. We shall move on to protective services. We've got an information note there, and I'll ask Councillor Knoll if he would deal with that, please.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an information note from our protective services, just as a quarterly report, basically, to provide an overview of the fire department, incident activity and trends of the period from January 1st to March 31st, 2025, based on some operational reports. Basically, the Grand Falls-Windsor Fire Department responded to 46 incidents during the first quarter of 2025. This represents a steady operational demand consistent with prior years, and the types of responses were diverse and include fire calls, alarm activations, investigations, rescues, and vehicle collisions. Incident data was compiled in the fire department's detailed incident list by type and the list of incidents summary reports. Some of the breakdown of the calls from January to March included. In January, there were 12 calls, including 6 alarm activations, including 2 commercial, 2 investigations, smoke or odor investigations, and 4 motor vehicle collisions. In February, there were 23 calls, including 6 alarm activations, 5 other investigations, 1 residential structure fire, 5 chimney fires, 1 electrical fire, supposedly, and 3 motor vehicle collisions, and 2 utility pole and wires down. In March, they had 11 calls, including 2 alarm activations, 1 investigation, 1 residential fire, 1 chimney fire, 4 motor vehicle collisions, 1 involving an entrapment rescue, and 2 agency assists. Some of the other statistics provided, total personal hours, a little over 85 hours. The average response time was just shy of 6 minutes, which is very, very quick. The average number of personnel per call was 7, and the most frequent call type was the alarm ringing. And I'm familiar with that one because we have security at the building, and we get in the middle of the night, the little windy evenings, they go off quite frequently. We also had chimney fires, motor vehicle collisions without extraction. Some of the considerations and implications from the budget side of things: no unusual budgetary impacts noted for Q1. Activity levels remain within typical operational range. Some of the other partners involved is much coordination with Newfoundland RCMP, emergency medical services, Newfoundland power providers occurred during select incidents such as motor vehicle collisions and utility pole fires. Some of the human resource implications says the average staff per response was stable, indicating sufficient staffing from our fire department. In conclusion, says the Grand Falls-Windsor Fire Department showed strong performance in early 2025, responding efficiently across incident types. Continued focus on data coordination will support readiness and community safety through the year end. Just a little note myself says we have first responders, Mayor. Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, thanks for that. Any other comment on that information note? No? Thank you. We will move on. So I think, yeah, we'll go to other business now. And before I ask someone to start, whose turn is it to start this time? Pardon me? Deputy Mayor, okay. I got something I want to start with, which is unconventional, I guess, but and I may have a comment at the end too. And I hadn't planned to do this tonight, but I want to do it for the record. And I'd ask if it would be included in the minutes. So it appears that there has been a rumor going around town for the last, I'd say almost a couple of years now, about myself, and that I had gone to rehab. A buddy of mine had messaged me a year and a half ago, I think. The poor guy is gone now, Howie Sharp. And he asked me how I'm doing. I said, I'm doing all right. Why? He said, well, I heard you were in rehab. I said, what? He said, I heard you're in rehab. I want to make sure. I said, rehab for what? He said, I don't know. That's what somebody told me. I said, very good. So I just brushed it off, you know. But it seems to have taken on a life of its own and has some ridiculous, wild stories, rumors about me and all kinds of different issues, and that I had to go to rehab for something or other, or lots of things. I did not go to rehab, ever. Not that that's a bad thing, because people who need to go to rehab, I compliment them for addressing their issues. But I didn't go to rehab. And I would say now that if you're someone who hears that, or you repeat it, remember that it's not true. And if anybody can tell me and everybody else where I went to rehab and what for, and offer the proof, I'll give them everything I own. My house, my vehicle, any assets I got. They can have it all. Because obviously, it's not true. And I'm sure that folks out there would appreciate that when those kinds of things happen, it's a part of this world sometimes. And again, I did brush it off, but it's just gotten to the point where it's ridiculous. So I wanted to state that publicly. And, you know, I have kids in this town, and friends and relatives, and other towns as well, and as do everybody here, and everybody in the community. And I'm sure nobody will want that kind of rumor going around that was not true. And that's why I decided that I would bring that up tonight, to have that on the record, please. And with that, I'll move on to Deputy Mayor for other business.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things tonight. My sincere congratulations to Mr. Mercer and your department on what I would call the most successful Salmon Festival weekend we've had since we changed the format. Crowds were excellent, and nothing but rave reviews, right from the codfish dinner on Thursday night to the end of the Church Road concert and yesterday afternoon at Church Road Park. I also like to congratulate Councillor Dwyer on her work with respect to the Gordon Pinsent festivities around town. I know you work with Mr. Mercer and all that as well, so congratulations, hats off to you for that. And like I said, nothing but rave reviews, throughout the entire weekend. Some fantastic crowds. And I think the local businesses and outdoor recreation facilities certainly did benefit as a result of the crowd that was here this weekend. So congratulations to all, and I'll know there will be further comments on the festival as you guys get into new business as well. The only other thing I had, Mr. Mayor, was the fireworks that we haven't been able to get off the ground. Scheduled for Canada Day, so I guess council will meet in the next coming weeks and pick an event. I think the next major event in Grand Falls-Windsor will be the Labor Day festivities, the Labor Day parade and the Labor Day festivities at Church Road Park with the bands and the music, the bouncy castles, etc. So hopefully by that time things are after cooling down out there, and we're able to set our Canada Day fireworks off on Labor Day. So the people can look forward to that. There you go. Thank you, Mayor, and well said yourself with respect to that. You know, being on the council is not an easy job whatsoever, and you're apt to have stuff said about you and to you. A lot of it is not true, I would say, and it's just unfortunate that rumor took a life of its own towards you, and certainly not fair, and you were very right to address it. So, well done.
Councillor Dwyer. Oh, no, we're going the other way. Hey. Councillor Cody, sorry.
Keeping it interesting here tonight. Okay, so again, a reminder, Queen Street Dinner Theatre is now in full swing. I've seen some rave reviews from the shows that they've held so far. I would encourage residents to get tickets. I think there's 5 shows this year, including the lunchtime show. So again, you can reach out to the Royal Canadian Legion Branch 12 to purchase tickets there or online, Queen Street Dinner Theatre website. And make sure you take advantage of the shows. They tend to sell out and book up quickly, so I would encourage you not to wait too long if you do plan on attending. I want to remind residents of water conservation. I know everybody loves to have a nice green lush lawn, but we also like to have clean drinking water as well, and it's all coming from the same source, I should say. And you know, it's forest fire season. Everything is just crispy under your feet. It doesn't matter where you go. You know, we're trying to maintain water levels as best we can. I know a lot of people are filling up their pools and enjoying their backyard pools and things like that, you know, which is wonderful as well. And we're not discouraging that, but we just are, you know, want residents to keep in mind that water conservation is happening. Our regulations are odd number homes can water lawns on Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. Even numbered homes can water on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. There's absolutely no watering on Mondays, and no watering lawns between 12 a.m. and 6 a.m., so no putting a sprinkler on overnight and letting it run. And then, of course, we fully understand people with new lawns, you know, manicured properties who, you know, are trying to get sods to set or who are growing new lawns. There's no restrictions on watering. You water as needed to make sure, you know, that we're all about beautification of our properties and that. We want, you know, people invest a lot of money into getting these new lawns and things. So, you know, but once your lawn is lush and ready, then we expect you to adhere to the conservation rules as well. I want to say big congratulations to the Grand Falls-Windsor Giants. I want to make sure that I read it properly, because it's so fun, and it's just such an important announcement, I think. The Grand Falls-Windsor Giants recently represented Grand Falls-Windsor at the Red Ball Tournament, which is a provincial event organized by Cricket, Newfoundland and Labrador in St. John's, where they delivered an outstanding performance and finished as runners-up, showcasing the incredible talent from Grand Falls-Windsor. So, again, the post is on our Facebook. I would encourage residents to just go look at the team picture, look at the faces, the smiles on the faces. It's just an incredible achievement. And Sandeep Singh Brar was named Best Bowler and Most Valuable Player of the entire tournament. So congratulations to the team, congratulations to Sandeep. Just another amazing achievement, and why it's so important for our communities to be inclusive and that we celebrate the diversity in our communities, because this is what community is all about. So congratulations to them, and I'm so proud of them, and I can't wait to see more. And this is, you know, one step towards us hosting our own cricket tournament and bringing people into our community and celebrating, you know, diversity and celebrating different sports that we've never played before. I mean, we see, you know, we do the traditional sports, the hockey, the volleyball, the basketball and whatnot. We've seen a huge uptake in pickleball, you know, which whoever thought pickleball was going to be a thing. So again, and cricket is growing, and it's just amazing to see. So congratulations to that team, and I can't wait to see more. We said a lot about the municipal election, and I came in just like 6:30 this evening, which very well never happens. I'm usually here at least 15 minutes early for a meeting. But I was actually a panelist on an Equal Voice NL session this evening, encouraging women and gender diverse individuals to put their names on a ballot for municipal council. So Equal Voice NL is doing a campaign college. There's various sessions that you can register for. There's no cost to register. You sit in, ask questions. They provide a lot of resources on how to run your campaign, what's required, the different policies and regulations like we spoke about tonight about nomination day and advance polls, and how do you run your campaign and what's required of you to put your name on a ballot, and making sure you hit all those high points. So if you are interested in putting your name on a ballot, and I would encourage as many people who are interested to do so, you know, Equal Voice NL is another resource available to you, and I would encourage you to check out their website and to get involved. Thank you.
Thank you. Before I move on to Councillor Knoll, I'd just like to add on to Councillor Cody's comments on the water conservation. You know, I find that people in town, and it's not their fault, I guess maybe we didn't do a good enough job explaining it or what, but it's a serious issue. You know, with this hot weather, and we've had years past that we were very close to running out of water. So please don't carelessly waste water. Use water properly, but like Councillor Cody said, abide by the conservation guidelines that are there, and try to help conserve our water, because nobody will be happy if that were to happen when they can't get any water at all. So it is really that serious. So, you know, encourage your friends and neighbors. I mean, don't admonish them or anything, just suggest. But it's very, very important, and something that, you know, we're watching all the time, especially with this hot, humid weather, and we really need rain right now badly. I don't want to set off any alarms or anything like that, because right now, I mean, it's not dire, but it could be sometime in the future. We don't know. And the other thing, just to add on to quickly, because you mentioned the cricket, and of course the town will, if you got anything that you wanted to try, a program or otherwise, and there's interest in it, we will support to try to get something started. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but we'll certainly try. And with cricket, we had Mark Critch mention cricket in his remarks on Saturday during the Gordon Pinsent statue unveiling, because in the movie Grand Seduction, Mark Critch and Gordon Pinsent were involved in the cricket scene. And if you haven't seen it, you should watch it. The movie in its entirety, but that particular part was hilarious. So I just wanted to mention that anecdote. And Mr. Mercer, did you have something?
Yeah, I just want to say that thanks to you guys, we had started cricket 2 years ago with the individuals, and it's grown to, we had 12, now we're up to like 35 or 40. And they're looking for their own space now, because they're just using whatever space we got available. So I think this win, or this second place, will only grow that interest, that we may be looking for space in the future. So I just want to put that out there. If you can think of an idea of where we can have a permanent location that we can use for multi-sport, then keep it in the back of your mind, because I think, as Councillor Cody said, that this is only going to grow.
And, cricket, I watched it on TV before. I don't want to say I watch it because I kind of gave up. A sport that a match goes on for days is something I really couldn't grasp. But nonetheless, it is one of the most popular sports in the world. So, interesting, yeah. So we'll go on now, Councillor Noel, for your other business, please.
Thank you. Just to add, as Deputy Mayor mentioned earlier, the Salmon Festival, it was a fabulous weekend. Tremendous uptake by the community. The weather added to it, no doubt. It was fabulous weather-wise as well. The amount of feedback about our unveiling was just phenomenal. I mean, it was just way beyond expectations, and it was just goes to show that, from a few seeds of great thought come great things. So, again, hats off to Councillor Dwyer in that regard. And a reminder that the weekend is Salmon Festival, and we want to celebrate our salmon per se. That's like a little blurb, and I've been down to the river numerous times, and I'm very impressed with the amount of cleanliness. So maybe people are beginning to actually appreciate this thing that flows through us that's been taken for granted for decades as a world-class river. So it's nice to see those things improving slowly but surely. To Councillor Cody's piece on the fire safety, I've had a couple of calls recently. I put them on to I encourage them to reach out to the MEOs about people with their backyard fire pits still going. I mean, there's nobody who dearly loved a fire pit fire more than myself. And I walked by mine, and I know it's calling out to me to light it, but I don't, and I haven't, and I know the wind is up, but I mean, you just can't. It's just all it's going to take is a spark. And we saw the video from Chance Cove recently. I mean, it just fires out of control. We just went through that in Badger as well. So, an ounce of prevention goes a long way when things are so dry, right? Numerous people called again about Tulet Drive and wondering about our roundabout. And I was at the shop today, another significant serious accident on Main Street and Tulet Drive. It was only a couple weeks ago. I watched the extraction of a person from the other end of Tulet Drive. So again, just encourage people to pay a little more attention. I know people are busy, they're running around perhaps. I don't understand, but these are two very, very busy aspects or intersections in our town, and I encourage everybody to take a little time and out and about today. Thanks, Mayor.
Absolutely. And regarding the roundabout, is a good example of sometimes how challenging it is as a municipal council to push projects along. We have identified the Honda, I'll say, and Parts for Trucks intersection there for a roundabout for years. And to get it from when you want it to when it actually gets built, there's a lot of things in the middle, and not just a pile of dirt and grass. But, the engineering, which was adopted now to get that paid for, that is in itself an expensive venture. But I'm going to say that the estimated cost for putting a roundabout at that location is not much off $1 million, if it isn't over $1 million, because that's the cost. And as a municipality, when we put out these, bid proposals and we look at RFPs and that sort of thing, we don't have any choice. Like, we kind of got to go with the lowest bidder within reason, and that's the Procurement Act. So to have $1 million on one project, it's very difficult when the government only gives you $4.5 million each year to go towards your capital programs. We do recognize it to be very, very important. I mean, I work at Corridor Brook there and use that intersection regularly. The stop sign that was placed there and also at the other end, I believe, have been helpful with the flashing lights. But people should really be careful around those, especially, during lunch hours and times of the day when people are going to and from work and school and the like. And $1 million, and I joked that maybe we'd get Councillor Noel to put a pile of dirt in the middle there, and we could plant a bit of grass on it, put up a small retaining wall, and pave a circle and plant some trees and be done with it. and we'd save ourselves $980,000. But unfortunately, we would never be allowed to do such a thing because you got to follow the traffic safety standards and all the angles and all the regulations. But it is desperately needed, and we hope to see it there as soon as possible. I just thought that was important to mention as well, Councillor Knoll. Councillor Hiscock.
Thank you, Mayor. First off, big congratulations, Dr. Jared Butler, who Saturday received the King's Coronation Medal from Lieutenant Governor Joan Marie Alward at Grand Falls House. Councillor Dwyer was present, and yourself. It was a great event, and was well received by the family and all those in attendance. So congratulations, Dr. Butler, who was heavily involved, of course, in family medicine and sports medicine and the sporting community for many, many years. So congratulations, Dr. Butler. Also, with regards to the Salmon Fest, it was great. The town looked fabulous. Hats off to our Public Works Development crew for getting out, and the town was fabulous. And of course, Mr. Mercer and his staff, Public Works or Community Services, Special Events crew, done a phenomenal job. And the numbers of people, of course, we were all out throughout from Thursday on to Monday, and talking to people visiting, people coming home on holiday. Just rave reviews. So once again, thanks so very much for making our town look so good. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hiscock. Councillor Little.
Thank you, Mayor. We have some upcoming events. We had a rally in the Valley Car Show coming up August 22nd to the 24th at Centennial Park. More information is on our town Facebook page. That's the town's. We're sponsoring the event. It's not our event, but we are a supporter of that event. There's games there, obviously cars, and some contests and stuff people can join in and hopefully get a big crowd out for that this year, because it's supposed to be a fairly big event. We have the ATVs and Poutine Festival coming up in September on the 26th and the 27th. So that's the return of the Poutine Festival, well-attended festival. So tickets will be going on sale for that later this summer into the early fall, and hopefully we'll sell that out again like we have in the past. So one of our perpetually successful events is the Poutine and ATV Festival, so hopefully that continues. And we have free summer sports offered. It's already started. No registration is required, but if you go on our town website or Facebook page, there's information there. So there's different age groups, and they go at different times, and sports alternate weekly, I believe. And I don't think any equipment's required. The kids just show up and play. They might learn some new sports. I know volleyball's there, badminton's there. There's a different sport every week. So that's kind of like what used to be there years ago when we used to have a summer program, which was registration required at the time. Our corporate services head there, he was the boss one summer and ran a great program. And now look where he's to now. Finally, and this to echo comments on Salmon Festival, it was a great festival. Councillor Dwyer put a ton of work into particularly the Gordon Pinson aspect of it and that statue. If I remember correctly, that was her idea from the get-go, and it took her a lot of drive for her to get that pushed over the finish line, with help from our Director of Community Services, of course, to secure the funding. But that was a great event, that unveiling. I haven't been at anything like that before, so it was pretty cool. And all the other events were really, really good at Salmon Festival. I took in some family events with my wife and son. A little hot, so we couldn't stay too long, but they were all like, I don't know, it seems like it goes so easily, but it's not. It's a ton of work for our staff. And someone just mentioned about the high street and how great it looked. I've seen our workers down there, like in their, it was hot, right? So they were getting this ready, and it was a lot of work for them. And I remember seeing one of our workers at the roundabout with the pylons around her, and she was weeding that flower garden, and I'm like, it was freaky to watch, but like it was, you know what I mean? Like this just goes to show how much work was done and how, sometimes difficult it is, and it looks so beautiful, but it's nice not to forget the amount of effort that was put into it. Thank you.
In hot conditions as well. Councillor Dwyer.
Thanks, Mayor, and thanks to Council for all the congratulatory remarks about statue, but like it was truly a collaborative effort to and had Council's support right from the get-go. But I remember contacting Blaze which is Gordon's nephew, in January 2024, and I said, Blaze, I still really want to get this statue done. Todd's been working with ACOA, but like this is not economic development, so we're not going to get any money there. But Todd persevered, and you know he got the funding 100% funded, and I also remember saying to Blaze, I don't want it to be like a head or just, you know, somebody standing up, Gordon standing up. I wanted it to reflect his personality, and Gord sent a picture of Gordon or somebody on a bench, and he said, this is what I would like to see. And I said, yeah, you're absolutely right. And, you know, we got a mock-up of Gordon sitting on the bench, and they loved it. And certainly Morgan MacDonald then took that idea and really made it his own. And I thought the unveiling was really special. Like it felt like community. And I remember the last time it felt like that to me was DeGrad 2020 COVID, when everyone came out to support DeGrads. And that's kind of what it felt like on High Street on Saturday. So I was really pleased, I got to say. And really happy to get an email Saturday morning from Mark Critch saying that he was able to make it, because I think he, you know, amped it up a little bit too, and it made it extra special as well. He was very special to Gordon, and Gordon was very special to him, and yeah, so it was wonderful. I think Morgan MacDonald will be a friend of mine forever. I have so much respect for him. He has tremendous work ethic, and I think he'll be visiting Grand Falls-Windsor often to see his Gordon, our Gordon, his Gordon, and spoke to him today. He was here today, and he expects that that statue will take on a life of its own as well. He said that, you know, he can see people like Russell Crowe having to make a trip to Grand Falls-Windsor to see Gordon, and I expect that that is the case. There was 95,000 views on the video of the statue unveiling today, so that's massive. Thanks so much to Todd Mercer, all of the Community Services Department, the Public Works Department, because I know you couldn't do it without them as well. We even had Rhoda's husband go to Gander to pick up one of Gordon's relatives, got home 3 o'clock in the morning because they couldn't make their original flight. So, you know, we are willing to go above and beyond here, and it was so nice to see everyone come together. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, I just got a couple of comments. I guess, you know, there was actually a story on VOCM today. VOCM online talked about Mark Critch and how, I think the headline was local actor, comedian says the Gordon Pension statue is perfect. And he's saying how, you know, it being a bench and everything, and I think a lot of people have shared that view, and it was certainly great to see. And if you haven't seen it, by all means, you have to go and take a look. The workmanship by Morgan MacDonald to do that, the talent is just unbelievable. Overall, Salmon Festival, you know, I sent out a note, of course, to council and senior staff, and I feel that this Salmon Festival is the best ever. And I know you can't compare it to the years of the big rock shows. And I mean, we can't compare it because it's a different thing. I'm not saying it's not better. I personally would think it's better than those as well for a lot of reasons, not the least of which is we stays within budget or close to it. But, you know, it's already been said, but Todd, like, behind the scenes, people don't see a lot of what's going on, you know, and don't see in the planning and the running of these events how many hiccups there are, how many wrenches get thrown in, you know, how many things need to be resolved, and Todd did a great job at that, and I won't get into any details, but there's a few good stories there on what he had to do in order to make sure that this went off smoothly. And it was a fantastic event, and I'd suggest that maybe in the future council would consider doing more events on High Street. The setting is amazing, really, you know, and like I said in the message I sent to you guys, is to see High Street and that sight of the big crowds on that day, I'll never forget it. I really won't. I mean, it just was something very special, and everybody came together to make it what it was. The weather obviously was a big help to us, you know, even though Saturday it probably kept people away because of the heat, and Sunday as well maybe. But overall, it was a fantastic weekend. I do know there was, you know, you always get some comments there. I just take them as suggestions, and you know, accessibility, particularly around Church Road Park. We've been talking about getting additional blue spaces there. I think it's fair to say that at an event like that, there's probably never going to be enough blue spaces, but we certainly have to do everything we can to accommodate persons with disabilities, and we, of course, have that path repaved this year, which makes the accessibility much better, and the loop as well. And I did see a lot of people who use wheelchairs there enjoying the Ennis Sisters. And, you know, the entertainment overall, like, is just fantastic when you look at the names, you know, and the fact that we could do this, most of it, for free. And that has been a big thing for council, is to make sure that we can get as many people as possible to take part. We understand that there's a lot of people that may not be able to pull $40 out of their pocket for a ticket to see Shannigannock or whoever. So to have these free events, the feedback has been phenomenal, and I hear a lot from other people not from here who say, I don't know anywhere else that does this, like this many free things. So it does the heart good, and it's good for the community, obviously. And when there's so many things in this municipal job that you cannot control, and frustrating, you know what I'm like sometimes, getting frustrated about things that we can't get done for one thing or another, but these things we can control. So we should do a good job on them, and I believe that we do, and council will continue to put that effort into those areas. We spend twice as much as any other community this size in the province on parks and green spaces, and it shows. And just thanks to everybody who came out to any of the events. You know, a great time was had by all, and without the participation and all the people who were home and all the people who attended, it wouldn't have been as successful as it was. Last thing I will say is just another reminder about the fact that there is a fire ban. Please be careful, not only with your fire pits, that should be automatic, but unfortunately is not, but your cigarette butts, you know. Anything you do really that results in a spark, be careful, because it's all too close. We saw it ourselves. We're surrounded by forest, and you know, a little prevention goes a long way. So with that, I'll ask if anybody has anything further. If not, I'll call for a motion to adjourn. Councillor Dwyer, seconded by Councillor Little. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, see you next time.